right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. I have a very interesting guest. I actually want to learn about Grid Kids, and she's the creator of Grid Kids, and she's a nutritionist and CrossFit athlete, grid athlete, captain, owner, all the above. So, and her name's Jess Krezmien, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. This is exciting. I love doing this kind of stuff, so I'm excited to talk about all this stuff.
Yeah, so Hannah Hardy actually introduced me to you, so about the Grid Kids, because I wanted to learn a little bit more about it. But I was doing some research, and you were on a podcast. I think it's like the Functional Fitness podcast or something like that, from like 2 years ago. Yeah, Functional Times. That's right.
Oh wow,
And so,
you found it.
yeah, I go deep into research. So I know you were a teacher before you started any of this. So what made you become a teacher?
So, it's kind of funny because like my mom was a teacher, so that was kind of always implanted in my brain, like, oh, that's something I really want to do. And I've just always really loved working with kids and like fitness and health and teaching them how their body works, how their, mind, body connection, muscles, actually like learning or teaching them all that kind of stuff, especially with nutrition. And there was just a big void in the type of teaching that I was doing with phys ed, people just roll out the ball, but I like made them work and it was really enjoyable. So I genuinely love working with kids and just relating with them and teaching all that stuff to them. So it was a no-brainer to get into that kind of.
Mm-hmm. And you must have some experience with diabetes too. So how did you handle the kids that were diabetics in school?
So luckily there's always, with any school, there's always gonna be plans with that kind of stuff. You always get like they call them IEPs or different plans that certain students have, like, okay, this kid has these allergies, this type 1 diabetes, whatever. So that stuff ahead of time. So I kind of would always keep that in the back of my mind, make sure we have the plan in place. Just watching the kid extra, a little bit extra just to see if they're acting weird or anything like that. But they were always pretty vocal, like, hey, I'm feeling good today. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed was like actually getting to know the kids very well. Like sometimes they would tell me things that I didn't want to know. But I appreciate the fact that they felt close enough with me to tell me all the things.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. And in your right now, and when did you actually like stop being a teacher? And what was like kind of like the catalyst of, because I know you went to like another side job. So
yeah.
So what?
I'm from New York. I moved up, go Bills. I moved from New York to Florida in 2012 because I got the job. And I did it for about 6 years. So I left in 2018. If you've talked to teachers, you've probably heard all the stories. But I genuinely loved working with kids and that aspect of it. But there was just too many other things that got in the way of what I was hoping it could be. And I wanted my experience and my knowledge and just my passion for everything to be better utilized and better appreciated. So I stayed there probably a few years longer than I should have for the kids. But it takes a toll on you. And it got to a point where it's like, I wasn't as happy as I could be because I still was able to coach kids CrossFit and now Grid Kids. So I still had that avenue, which if I didn't, I think I'd be even more bummed out about leaving, But it's just for my mental stability, I needed to find another avenue to do it.
Yeah. So you said the Bills earlier. So I just want to let you know, I'm from Massachusetts, so you can kind of figure out what kind of fan I am. So don't hate me for that.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore. I don't know if we can be friends anymore. Oh no. That's all right. Everybody, you can join the Bills bandwagon. There's room.
Listen,
more people join every year.
I have to admit, when Jim Kelly was in the Super Bowl like 4 times, like I was always rooting for them to win. So because I never liked Dallas, I never liked the Giants, so I was like, at least just root for somebody. So it was the Bills. So
by default.
yeah. So you said you just stopped coaching, you stopped teaching, and then so you just went straight into coaching, or because I know you have a little side, like you're not a nutritionist, but you're a nutrition coach. So did you start doing that right after school, like right after you teaching, or what? How did that work?
So I always did it as kind of a part-time thing since about 2012. Because I always had it in my head, like, you got to get a big girl 9 to 5 job. You have to go, do the path, the school job, And so I was always just afraid to go out on my own and do it. But I saw that as an opportunity of like, all right, this is what I truly love doing. This is another way for me to help people individually. So I jumped ship and I went full time. And I think luckily I had enough of a following of people who knew me from either CrossFit or whatever, to get my name out there. Cause a lot of my business is word of mouth.
Mhm.
I am terrible at advertising. I don't really do it. I use Instagram and that's about it. So I'm a nutrition coach full time now. And I still coach CrossFit classes of, an hour or so a day.
Mhm.
And the kids grid thing, but my full-time job is nutrition coach now.
Yeah. So how many clients do you typically train, like coach, like in a week or like per cycle or whatnot?
So I feel like I do things a little differently. Like I will cap it. I don't like to have more than 50 at a time because at that point it's very hard to give one-on-one attention. And that is one of the three pillars that I kind of created my whole business on. So nutrition education, accountability, and sustainability. So it is one of my pet peeves when you hear all these coaches like, oh, I have 10,000 people that signed up for my challenge. And I'm like, you're not doing it. You're either lying about the number of people you're helping or you're lying about what kind of coach you are because you're not a
Mhm.
one-on-one coach. Because I know that because when I get upwards of 30 something people, it is difficult. So yeah, it changes every month or so because I have some people who will stick with me for like my 12-week course. Some people will do the macros program that's monthly. So it does kind of shift every month or so, but I don't like to get over that 45, 50 range because it just gets to be, it's just me. So it gets to be too much. So
Yeah.
I clients every day. So I'm
Mhm.
literally on my phone all the time and it's a lot, but I would rather them be able to feel comfortable talking to me anytime they need, maybe not 3 a.m., but versus like, I'm not allowed to talk to my coach until next month. Now I'm screwed and I'm, at the grocery store and I'm confused. So I'd rather be overly available than have them feel, like we're not connected.
Yeah, and I like that, like, because obviously more than 50 for like I can't imagine having 50, but like always calling, constantly calling
Mhm.
them and stuff like that. That's definitely tough, and you can only do so much. And like you said, like with one person, they have like 10,000 clients. There's like no way they're
Yeah.
even having to talk. They need to have like other people that are like in that group that are running it to like even talk to them. And it's mostly like bot emails, like, oh, this is what you need.
Exactly.
Go back to my directory and then kind of take a look. So
Yeah. Or my favorite, just keep trying. Like it is such a giant, like I started this whole like fighting food crime. Do you know Andrew Hiller?
yes.
Okay. So that got me on dude, like, because I mainly started this company as a way to fight back against like all the bullshit, the fads, the Insta coaches, the Herbalife crap, all that stuff. So it got, that's kind of where, kind of a lot of where this stemmed as well. Just trying to help people understand how to spot the bullshit. Like if somebody is saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to help you, I'm going to do this, you don't hear that, they ghost you. Like so many of my clients come to me because they're like, this person said they were going to help me and they have so many clients and they're a big company. And I'm like, good luck getting a response if you ever do. Like it's sucks, but they usually have to go through a lot of bullshit before they find me. And they're like, oh, well, I wish I would have done this from the start, And it's like, yeah, but
Yeah. I mean, it's word of mouth is definitely, like, would help people out and stuff. And obviously, I can imagine like other horror stories you have, heard from other people. I can't imagine. It must be awful. And it's like just people spending like thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars and just like getting absolutely nothing out of the deal.
and it's funny because like people will send, going back to the Andrew Hiller thing, people will send me videos of like bullshit that they see online. So I do a reaction video, but I get so angry about it that I can't do it because I'm so frustrated. And I even got booted off of these Facebook, there's one company that sells this thing you stick in your belly button, you put a piece of tape on it, it's supposed to help you lose fat. Yeah,
What?
dude, I did a reaction video to that one. I can't. But I got that sent to me so many times because people are like, you have to call them out. You have to call them out. So I did. And they like, after a couple of comments, they blocked me and I wasn't allowed to comment on their stuff anymore. But it's just like that kind of stuff. Like it drives me nuts. These people will just make something up, probably make a crap ton of money and then shut it down so people can't contact them and get their money back. And then they're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just not doing it the right way, but oh well.
Yeah. So what certifications do you have for this?
I went to school. So my undergrad, they didn't have an extra. This is actually kind of a funny story. They didn't have an exercise science major when I went to undergrad. So I did it as my minor. And I also took sports management and that kind of stuff. There was some nutrition classes that I got to kind of pull along with that because I guilted them into letting me use it for credits since they didn't have what I wanted. And then I went back to school for phys ed and health. So I got to have my concentration for nutrition because they saw my undergrad and they had a couple classes there as well. So I got to put that all in there. And then I also have my ISS certification and then another certification in low glycemic and hormonal treatments.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Yeah, I think like the whole nutrition aspect is like always learning. You're always constantly like seeing new things, like new fad diets you can make fun of, and all that kind of stuff. And so
Oh
like,
yeah, it's constantly changing, and it's funny because there's always a new thing, right?
yeah,
But it's like I always go back to like nutrition was never broken, like greedy people broke it. So it's like they're always coming up with these new crazy things, and I'm just like, ugh. So it's like a lot of what I do is going back to the basics of like science and like what has been proven throughout time. And everybody puts their own little spin on it. But if you go back to the basics, like especially with anything you see, like all these Netflix documentaries, which a lot of them, I mean, they're interesting, but you have to watch them knowing who's funding them, and whether it's like
exactly.
plant-based or keto. And there's nothing wrong, but like plant-based or keto-based or paleo or people that are anti-dairy or people that are for dairy, whatever, they always have some sort of hook to it. But if you pull back that veil, the common thread through every single one of them is eat more whole foods and less sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and that's the basis of, what I mean? And I actually do have a lot of type 1 diabetes clients or type 2 diabetes clients that I've actually helped with getting that under control. One of them actually was my husband's aunt, and she was type 2 diabetic, and we worked with her. And after it was in the first 12 weeks, her doctor told her that as long as she keeps eating the way she's eating, she would be food control diabetic. So she wouldn't need, all the meds anymore and everything. And it was just such a weight lifted off her shoulders. And she's like, I can do this with food. And it's like, yeah, they don't want you to know that because it doesn't make them any money. Like that doctor's going to, here's some pills and stuff. Don't get me started on that. But there's like so many cool things that I just get to experience with what I do. And it's like, it's just so many cool moments and stories that, for all the crazy ones, I get some good ones too. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you ever you've worked with type 1 diabetics too?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a lot. And those, I really do. I mean, I always enjoy when people have kind of like a unique thing because I get to learn a lot from them as well. And I get to kind of restore their faith, if you will, with nutrition coaches or just the programs in general, because they don't have to feel like they're just a number among, thousands of people. And they're just given a bunch of numbers to hit and like, see ya, good luck, you know what I mean? Or like the basic thing that everybody gets. So I do, as hectic as it is sometimes, I really enjoy the one-on-one aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like me too. So, I'm a medical recruiter. So, and I used to coach like personal trainer and all that stuff. And I like helping people out, especially like people haven't had a job in a while because of like COVID. They had to like, homeschool their kids the whole time. And, now they want to get back out and work and they get some money. And then just like, hey, I got a job for you. Here you go. And like, they get hired. They get so grateful. It's just like, it's like nice to help people out to a point, but it's sometimes like you can't help people out too. So, and you've probably had those stories before.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty grateful that I've only had a few, the past however many years, I've only had a few people that, either like turned out to not be like what they said they were as far as like on their end and what they were looking for, or I had one person who like was all in, he's like, just kidding, I'm going to go do keto. And I was like, okay. And I mean, to each their own, but I mean, he was not a happy person when I told him he was allowed to eat carbs and fruit and stuff. He's like, well, I don't like this. I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody ever tells you not to eat a banana or fruit, you need to run the other direction. Just my opinion. But I mean, it's fruit and vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you become a nutrition boss?
Like in general?
Yeah, because I saw your bio. It says nutrition boss and you're on your Instagram account.
Well, Instagram only gives you so many characters per line, so I had to be creative with what I said. So yeah, boss of my company. That is my label.
Okay. All right. Very cool. So and now I kind of want to get into the CrossFit thing. So it's kind of funny because you have like a interesting story about how you got into CrossFit. So can you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, it was kind of an accident. So I've worked out, I've played soccer and sports since I was like 5 years old. And in high school, even in middle school, I always thought it was cool to be like the only girl that would like lift weights and go to the gym. So all throughout college and stuff, I was like a typical bro. Like I did the back bicep, chest try, and I was always like, I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't pay to have, just go to a CrossFit gym to have somebody tell me what to do, whatever. And one day, I don't know why, but like I stumbled upon a Groupon, and my husband and I were like, all right, let's go do it. And I went, and the guy told me I could do the guy weights, and I was like, I'm in. And I still remember the workout that I did. I just thought it was the coolest thing that it was like a 7-minute workout, and I was dead. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm just sold. Sign me up. Kool-Aid drink. I'm done. So yeah. That, and I've been doing it ever since. So
Yeah, that's kind of like me. So I was in the Air Force for a little while, and I was actually at like Airman Leadership School to become a staff sergeant. And so I went to the gym, and they had this like big open area. I'm like, oh, they have a CrossFit gym, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out. I do the 300 workout. Like that was when the 300 movie came out, and it was like pretty big. And this one girl's like, yeah, I'm doing CrossFit too, and I'm doing the on ramp and stuff. And I'm like, you're doing CrossFit? I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, and then I'm like, went into the gym and I'm like, hey, can I just try? Can I try it? She's like, well, typically you need an on ramp to do a 2 week on ramp to do this, but I think you'd be fine. Never did the on ramp, just kind of learned like run on the fly and everything. And so it was like, and that's how I learned it. So the girl was in my class and she's like, how are you doing CrossFit before me? Because aren't you supposed to do an on ramp? And I'm like, yeah, they told me I didn't have to. So
I'm like,
yeah. I'm like, just don't say anything because they're gonna get pissed. So, but I pretty much like it was like every day it was like a whole learning process to like, okay, this is how you move this, this is how you move this, and then like once I started hitting the technique and stuff like that, the weight just started like going through the roof. So,
yeah.
and that was pretty much like what you were like the whole time during CrossFit too, right?
Oh yeah, except for the snatch. I almost quit CrossFit because I couldn't understand how to get the bar in front of my face and over my head. Like I'm a fairly athletic person growing up, but like for whatever reason, when I was first trying to learn that movement, it would like flabbergast me, and I was like, "This is stupid." But I got over it. I mean, there's still things I still have to get better at stuff all the time. Like there's
Hmm.
always stuff to get better at, which is like the beauty and the pain in the ass part of it. But yeah, it's definitely fun when you first start something and like things are like you're like PRing all the time and like, oh my God, everything's great. Now it takes me like a year to put 5 pounds on my back squat. It's like, okay, great.
Yeah, exactly. So when did you realize you were starting like you're like when you were doing CrossFit, you're like, hey, this I'm actually pretty good at this.
I think I started taking it actually kind of serious in 2015. And I still was really new to it. Like I found it in 2013. And I did like the beginner stuff for a few months, but then actually, ironically, a guy that pushed Herbalife was the one doing the on ramp, and like he got kicked out, and like so I left. It was a really weird. I tried to go to UFit and do CrossFit for a year, didn't work. Anyway, so I really started CrossFit in 2015, and after a few months, I was like, okay, I like the competitiveness of this because I was missing college sports,
Yeah.
and I was like, I need something to. I got so bored at a bro gym, like staring at myself in the mirror, like doing 1,000 curls. I'm like, I need something to work towards. So I did my first competition I want to say a year into it. And I won it. I mean, I did like a scale competition and I
Yep.
won it. I was like, I want to do this forever. Like, I want to just keep winning stuff. So I mean, within that first year, I mean, I knew how competitive I was. You know, you're always in class trying to like, all right, I want to beat everybody and do my best at this or whatever. So I mean, it did take me a few years, obviously, to catch on. I think the gymnastics was the hardest part for me. Playing like running track and soccer and rugby, I think I had a pretty good engine coming into it. And I was decently strong, but like technique has always been my downfall. Like even I taught myself really bad habits and I'm still unlearning all of them.
Yep.
But I want to say the gymnastics was probably the hardest thing for me to like break into and become really comfortable with and just like not have it destroy me in like in a competition and stuff like that.
Yeah. Same here. Like gymnastic stuff. Like so, I'm 6'6". So,
Yeah, that'll
yeah,
do it.
gymnastics is a crutch. But like handstand push-ups I could do, but like just the muscle ups, the ring muscle ups, like
You got a
anything
long
like
way to go.
yeah. And it feels like it takes like a whole 2 minutes just for me to get from the bottom to the top. And so I'm like trying to find ways to go quicker. And it's just like, you know what, I can't game this. Like I have to do great technique and then kind of speed up on the other
Other
movements to
stuff,
kind of
yeah.
catch up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
awesome.
used to make fun of kids. I'm like, why do you do gymnastics to swimming? That's stupid. Little did I know, those are the things I suck at the most. I done it when I was a kid. But yeah.
And you still coach right now, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your style of coaching technique that you like teach, people that don't know how to do the right movement? Like how do you like what's your way of teaching people?
So, I mean, I personally, I know like everybody's different, right? So there's some people who respond verbally, some people
Hmm.
respond visually, some people respond tactily. So and you're always supposed to have a couple of each in your pocket all the time, right? So I'm a very like animated person, if you couldn't tell already, and I talk fast. So I like demoing a lot, so I do a lot of demoing. I like to bring in like little dorky sayings, like when the arm bends, the power ends, and like just to get into people's head to make them stick, you know. Um, so I think I use just a lot of my energy to like get people to buy into it. So if they're not doing something right, I usually show them first. And then I'll kind of like do the whole good sandwich thing, whatever you call it, with like, you're doing this well, let's try to focus on this.
Yep.
And I know for me personally, too many things at once, I will forget everything. Sometimes even when I snatch, I don't know how, I just pull and pray. I don't know how it gets over my head. So I'll try to have someone focus on one, maybe two things that day. And it's like, okay, if you fix this, don't worry about the other stuff. We'll get to that next time. So just a lot of visual stuff, and then talking them through it, obviously. So I don't know if that's a style, but that's normally how I do stuff.
Yeah. And how many classes do you teach like a week?
So I coach the 12:30 almost every single day, and then I go back on Monday nights to coach the 5:30. So not too many, and I do open gym at almost every single day too. So if anybody's there and they're like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Because that's usually when I work out. So, but it's kind of a cool like one-on-one opportunity for people to kind of be more laid back, but I get to help them with stuff too. So.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I like the. I mean, I obviously you're like super busy with your like nutrition stuff, your job, and then like coaching. So, yeah, I don't know how you do it because I have a full-time job in podcasts and I barely have time with my kids and family. So, it's tough. It's tough. But so when did you get into? So you're part of the Grid League right now. So in Florida, I obviously like the first Grid League. It was good for a little bit, and then it kind of, went to crap, and then everyone moved down to Florida pretty much. So when
kind of, yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, I mean it failed. So, but I'm trying to be nice. So, but like, when did you realize like you find out about Grid, and like how did you get involved with it?
I actually had no idea what it was. So I remember I was going somewhere, or I was watching TV or something, and I saw this thing on ESPN of these people doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, this is really cool. So, and I didn't think anything else of it. And then a few years later, this was totally by accident. But this was when I was still a teacher, and it was during the summer when I wanted to do 2 a day. So I went to my friend's gym during the summer, so she could like kick my butt with stuff. And one of the times I went to this other gym, this guy named Chris was there, and we were doing like random teen stuff. He's like, "You got to try out for Grid," and I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, you gotta come to the combine at the end of this month. Like, you'll be great at it. Just come do it." And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then like I figured out what it was, and I'm like, this is that shit I saw on TV. Like, there's no way I can do this. Like, no way. He's like, "No, just go. You're fine. Just go." So again, I found out about it by accident, and I was so convinced I wasn't going, and then I don't know what changed my mind, but I ended up going, and I obviously I'm so glad I did. Because I went to the combine and they had like all their little stations for everybody to try out and show their skills and stuff. So yeah, again, totally by accident that I found what I'm doing.
Now you're part of the Tampa Bay Brigade. So have you been with that team the whole time, or were you kind of like bouncing from here and there?
No, I'm one of the. I could be wrong saying this, but I'm one of the only players that has been in the league since been in Florida Grid League since the inception of 2017 on every single team, or sorry, every single season on the same team.
Okay. And you're also the captain and now the owner of the Tampa Bay Brigade. So
co-owner.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't co-owner. So how do you recruit for your team, and like how do you hype them up? Like what's the whole process of like getting the right team so you guys can win?
Yeah, so it's actually been like a really cool evolution over the past, like 6 seasons now. So we have what's called grid trials. So it's kind of like an online combine, and it actually just ended about a month ago or so, and it's a couple months long, and they put out a series of tests, and anybody can sign up and do it. So if you're like, okay, I want to try out for Grid, I want to get my name out there, have people see me, you can do any of the tests, any of them, one of them, all of them, whatever, and you submit your video, and that way all of the owners can see everyone who does them. So they can see the fastest time, the slowest time, somebody who lives in their area, whatever. So this year we use that a lot. So that was kind of cool because we picked up some key players from there. And a lot of it sometimes is just like creeping on social media. Like we'll just be like, all right, what is this person lifting? Okay, do they look fast? Like what can we do? And then we'll talk to them. But some of it's like players will know someone, like, hey, I've seen this person at my gym, or this person's a weightlifter or whatever. And sometimes it's tricky because we get like people that can be really, really good at CrossFit, but they get stuck at Grid, and the other way around. So it's like, because we have, we call him Ninja. One of our teammates, his name's Chris, and he's one of the craziest gymnastics guys ever, right? But he hates CrossFit because he's a lighter guy, and he's like, I'll never be lifting heavy weights. So Grid perfect for him because he's one of the fastest at what he does in the league. And that's just his niche, because grid, we have specialties. You don't have to be good at everything. You get to show off of the things you're good at and just do that. So that we did have a couple instances where people like, hey, I want to play grid. I'm really good at CrossFit. And we're like, all right, let's try it out. And it just didn't work because they were just so CrossFit minded and not fast twitch. It's CrossFit. It seems boring when you watch grid. That's the separator thing. It seems really slow. So there's a couple of different ways, we find people.
Mm-hmm. And you picked up Hannah Hardy, who was supposed to be the co-host of the show. So how did you guys like meet up?
Well, that was I didn't even know this happened. I mean, I was obviously excited to happen because she's a beast. Hannah goes to the same gym as the other owner, as my coach, Chris. So they were just kind of talking about grid, like, hey, how are things going? Talking about like, if her friends were doing it and this and that. And she just kind of called up her coach she was playing on another team.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of came over to Chris and was like, yeah, if you guys have a spot, I want to play for you guys. And Chris was like, okay, like it just kind of happened. So I know there's more details in there that I don't know about, but yeah, it was just kind of a better, I mean, we're more local for her. We have a couple other people from her gym on our team. So I think it was an easier transition as far as coming to practices and being around the people that she knows. So that's always easier when it's in your backyard versus because some people travel from all over the place. We got people from, and that's always a lot harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what have been the ups and downs of you being a co-owner of a grid team?
So I think I figured that out. Well, last year when I was a co-owner for the first time, I didn't realize how much went into all this. Like, it was such a learning curve. I was like, you guys do that? Like, oh my, this is something you have to stress about? Like, you have to organize this? Like, so there's just so much of the inner workings. And I think part of the adjustment was like explaining things to my team because I see it from both sides, right? From the player aspect and the co-owner aspect. So it's like some things that like my teammates might get frustrated with. I have to be like, I understand where you're coming from, but like, this is why this is happening. Or like, this is why we have to do it this way because of this. And there's just so many like running pieces in the background that you don't realize it unless you're on like the owner calls and in the background of everything. So trying to balance those two things, I think has been challenging, but also like helps me understand the sport even more. But I think this year, it was just hard, like focusing on sponsorships for the team. Because usually it's pretty easy to do it for myself because I have some contacts or people that have supported me in the past. But my main focus this year was finding a bunch of ones for our team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's always like, it could be a fun opportunity, but also kind of a sticky opportunity to try to explain like, hey, come give us some money so we can play sports and we'll advertise your business, So, I mean, it's done a little bit more graceful than that, but that's always probably a tricky part to kind of navigate in the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm. And obviously you have multiple personalities throughout the team. So, I mean, I've seen it play in college sports and like, adult sports and stuff like that. Like, you have people that like think they should be like a starter, but they really don't have the stuff to be a starter. So how do you kind of handle that with people?
Yeah, we've had like an interesting evolution over the past 6 seasons. So, and I really like where our team is now. Like the first couple of seasons, we were a hot mess. Like we called ourselves the Misfits because we were a bunch of individuals on a team. And it was, we were undefeated for a couple seasons. We just got away on pure talent. But now the teams are getting better and figuring things out. We couldn't operate the way we were anymore. So we had to go more towards finding people who are more team minded. And every once in a while, you'll still get like those new people that are just so like doe-eyed and excited. They're like, I can do this. I can do everything. I can do this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, wait, it's not a CrossFit. I know you can do everything, but can you do it in this situation at 1,000% speed with this and that? And they're like, oh, okay. So normally it like, once they kind of understand the differences, they kind of tone it down a little bit. But I mean, at this point, like we're all adults and you have to realize like not everybody's going to play every race. Not everybody's going to play the same amount. And if you don't like it, then that's just, maybe you shouldn't play.
Yeah. The door's right here. So
yeah. But like, and we, like I said, we haven't had many issues with that kind of stuff. And because we can kind of, even just by seeing people at our tryouts, we can get a feel for like their personalities and like if they're willing to learn and be coachable.
Gotten a lot easier, pretty much like managing all these people.
Yeah.
And how many people do you have on like a team at once?
So you can have up to 18. You can have up to 9 guys and 9 girls. So up to a team, you don't have to have that many, but you need at least like there's 5 guy, 5 girl starters on each for each match. But you need at least 6.
So you have, so for each team you have nine females, 9 males, and what was the minimum you could have on a team during a
Well,
competition?
if any team has, they get to 6 or less on each side, you can then, there's a thing called a mid-season signing where it's like, oh crap, we need another person, they can sign somebody. But generally people usually have at least 7, 8 guys and girls on each side.
Okay. All right. And has the season started already for this season?
Not yet. We kick off the season 4th of July weekend at the UBU Expo.
Okay, cool. So what's your expectations for this year?
So we actually have a scrimmage on Saturday, like 2 days from now. So that'll be a really good tell of how well we work together. Cause like we've been practicing and stuff, but it's always different in that little bit more higher pressure situation. But I really think our rookies are really hungry to kind of show what they can do. And like, cause everybody wants to prove that they're the best, right? Everybody wants to fight for their spot.
Yeah.
So we have some really interesting, I don't want to give anything away, but we have one player who I think can do something that we've never seen before. Actually 2 things, and I'm really excited about that. And then we have another one who just adapts to we're like, can you do this? And he's like, I don't know, I'll try it. And then he did it. We're like, all right, you're doing that. And I was like, what? Yeah. So there's a couple cool things that I've seen so far that makes me really excited. I think we're going to hold our own. Like we've been a really competitive team, I think, every single season. So it's always nice to see kind of with the new people, if we can keep that up or like where we have to make changes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you have the fittest CrossFit athlete in North America, the 23rd fittest athlete in North America, Hannah Hardy.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah, I'm excited about her being on the team too, because like she's strong. She can do everything. So it's always good to have, and she likes burpees, which no one else except for me likes burpee box jump overs, and she loves them. So that's always one of the elements in the triad. There's like 20 burpee box jump overs at the end, and it just crushes people's souls, and I love it. So now she'll get to do it with me, and it'll be good.
Yeah, my thing is thrusters. I love doing thrusters. If anything from like squatting down to put over my head, I'll hold it up there for like a long period of time. And maybe in 6'6", it's like obviously longer distances, but I love just holding it and just go. And so just like suffer a little bit. So,
yeah.
But obviously you've done, you've co-owner of the Tampa Bay Brigade, and you're looking for a great season. And so I kind of want to veer off to your other side project that you have. It's called Grid Kids. So how did that come about?
So actually, Paul, there's another guy, Paul. He kind of started it a few years ago, and because he works with kids as well, he has like kids CrossFit and stuff like that. He's over in Miami area, and I kind of got more into it a few years ago because they were starting to grow, and they wanted to build a kids version off of the adult league. Because we need what better than like a farm team to kind of get some kids, growing up with it. But it's like with any sport, it's like some kids don't like team sports, but Grid Kids is really cool because they're doing individual things, but in the team sport aspect, and they get to shine in ways that maybe they can in CrossFit and stuff like that. So the past few seasons we've been growing. He's had a couple. They had matches and stuff down or over in the South area, in the Miami area, because there's the different conferences. And then I started in the North last year. So I had a lot of teens that I would coach CrossFit in. So we got the teens and then the younger kids together, and we kind of split them in half, and they'd battle back and forth. And it is the cutest thing. If you ever watch, you got to go to YouTube and watch it. Cause there's this one little boy, he's so little, and he like got so excited and ran up to the wrong barbell, and he was like so excited to lift it. We're like, no, go to this one. And he's just like so excited to be on the floor, But yeah, they were just looking for an avenue for kids to be able to shine and show like their strengths and what they're good at, and to be able to also build the characteristics that you get from a team sport. So, and they watch the adults do it. So it's like, they look up to the adult league and they're like, I want to be like that girl. Especially with a lot of the younger girls, like they're always looking at, Jay and myself. They're like, I want to be like that person. So it's just such a positive thing for them to see and to grow up to want to, be strong in fitness and be happy of what your body can do,
Yeah. And what are the age groups that you have for the Grid Kids?
It's 8 to 15, but we're actually thinking about bringing it 8 to 16 because we have a lot of teens that either played last year that are like bummed they can't play anymore, or one of our newer teams have a lot of 16-year-olds that could join their team if we can able to expand that.
Okay, and then you kind of do like the same movements that you guys do in the pro league. So like obviously with like do you do the kipping, chest to bar kind of muscle up thing, or like what are some of the movements that you do in the Grid League that you don't do with the Grid Kids?
So it's kind of nice because Paul does he does most of the programming, pretty much all the programming. And then what we'll do is we'll modify it based on the kids that we have. So there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of editing, which is really cool. It's really flexible. So we have the opportunity to be like, okay, we have these kids. How can we adjust the programming around with their skill level? Like last year we had two older kids that were both ridiculously strong, right? So we had their names were Aiden and Dylan. So we would always make them in the fourth quadrant, and they looked forward to like that was their thing, right? But if we didn't have two of them, we can't have a 135-pound barbell for a 5-year-old or 8-year-old. So we would adjust accordingly. But same thing is like, okay, we have a kid on each team that can do handstand walks. We're going to keep that in there, and we're going to let them shine and do the handstand walks. So there's a lot of the same movements. They do all the body weight stuff. They'll do the pull-ups, the toes to bar, the rope climbs. They don't do like back up rises or bring muscle ups yet, but we have kids that can do bar muscle ups. They did pullovers, like where they flip over the bar. They can do that.
Okay.
Most of the weightlifting movements, I mean, it's all appropriate based on their skill and their age. Like the first priority is safety with the kids. And in the adult league too, but we always emphasize safety first with the kids, and then concentrating on load and intensity and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. And then how do you do like your assessment for each kid? For it's like, like, do you have like a ranking system of like, or like a grade system? Like, okay, this kid's like a 1 that's like a really new person, to like a grade 5 to like, this is like, he can do, this person can do everything. Like how does it, is there like a grading system that you guys have, or like how does that work?
So you mean like how do we determine who does what?
No, like just like, you'll have like a new person coming in. Like, how do you assess these people to get to like certain steps?
Gotcha. So we had a kids grid combine in both areas to kind of get a feel for what the kids can do. And we put them through tests. They got just kind of like the grid trials. They got to pick what tests they want to do based on the movements that they enjoy and the ones they think they're good at. And we wrote down all their times and stuff and made notes and everything. But they have practices as well. So they're going to be having practice every week or a couple times a week or whatever the coaches want to do. And that way they can continue to assess like, okay, this is what this kid can do.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they give them like assignments. So it's like, okay, if you're going to be in the first quadrant of this race, show me that you can do this. If they can do it, great, they get that assignment. If not, then they adjust it and switch around accordingly.
Okay. And obviously you said they have matches. Like, so how many scrimmages or games do they have like per season?
So at least 3. So they're going to be, we're arranging it to where every time we have a match, the kids will have a match.
Okay. So, that's really cool. Yeah.
They're kind of like our intermission, like our entertainment between things. You know what I mean? So it's really cool because like last time when we were at the UBU Expo, which is kind of like the Arnold, there's like 45,000 people that go there. The kids got to be in front of all these people and they're like, what is this? Like, this is such a cool thing. So they get to feel like, superstars for that moment that they're on the grid. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's almost like when like the halftime show, they bring like two, like for like football, they bring like the two football teams and they do like a quick scrimmage, and like all these kids are like looking around like, whoa, this is insane.
What is happening? Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, what are your future plans for Grid Kids?
So this season we're doubling the teams. So before we just had a North and a South. And we kind of like had them play against each other that way. So this year our goal is, and it was and is, to create 2 more teams. So we have 2 in the North and 2 in the South. I think we're gonna change it to East and West though, because it makes more sense like geologically, with additional coaches and things like that. So that is our goal for this season, and to see kind of how that goes and just always get more awareness about it. And then hopefully just keep building on that as long as it keeps being successful as it is, because it's growing so much every time. I mean, we obviously want to get to a point where we just need to keep having bigger teams or more teams so we can have more kids.
Yeah. And speaking about growing, I forgot to ask this earlier. So I know the Florida Grizzlies growing. I've seen it on the social media, like their advertisements and stuff like that. So where do you see the Florida Grizzly growing to?
So, I mean, Mather he's the head honcho, right? The commissioner, and he has like some crazy awesome dreams for, I don't want to like give anything away, but he has some pretty big plans for Grid League as a whole. Like his visions are seeing it in stadiums, instead of a warehouse. Like the warehouse where we play now is pretty nice. But he wants bigger things, and he wants a bigger stadium. He wants sold out arenas and stuff like that. So they have a plan in place that if we keep growing as we are, that it could get there. Being on TV and all that kind of stuff, because we're looking to get a couple more adult teams this year. But it's kind of hard you either have to add like 4 or 2 or 4. There's a way to do it because right now there's 4 in each division or each conference.
Yep.
And if there is an odd number, then like playing each other gets weird because nobody plays around. So there's a lot more into it. Like I was mentioned before, that it's just crazy how intricate it is. So I think slowly but surely we're looking to add more teams each season and just continue to get into bigger places. Like UBU is huge. You know what I mean? We didn't have that before. So to keep doing big events like that, I think really helped.
Yeah. Are they looking to move to different states too?
I mean, eventually I would assume so, because we have a lot of players from out of states, and there's always people that are like, can you bring this to California? Can you bring this to so-and-so? Can you bring, you know what I mean? And I think they started like a East Grid League up like in the New York, Pennsylvania area, but I don't know if that ever got
traction. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I know that's long-term plan. It's like I don't want to say franchise. It's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying? They're trying to branch it out as much as they can. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And speaking about social media, so you have a quite a big following on social media, and especially on Instagram. So how did that come about? And like, obviously, like I've seen your reels and all that kind of stuff, and like you kill it on Instagram. So how do you, especially as a fitness influencer, like how do you get your Instagram to grow to, where it is right now?
Honestly, I have no freaking idea, because when I think I figured it out, it's like it's broken. I don't know. And it goes in waves. It's sometimes I notice, and I try not to pay too much attention to it, because like I always say, like Instagram is stupid, but it's like a necessary evil. But obviously I enjoy doing it because I use it, But there's sometimes where I feel like I grow really quickly and I have no idea why. And then there's other times like, oh, this is going to be a great one. And then it's not. And I'm like, I don't understand anything. So, but I do notice like when Greg will post stuff that I've done, I'll tend to get a lot of followers from that. Or usually the stuff that I think is going to suck, that's the stuff that like gets me a lot of followers. Like I have no idea. I don't understand the algorithms. I don't understand anything. All I know is I just try to be like myself and post like my daily stuff of like what I'm doing, and just hope it comes off as genuine. And I think that's what people enjoy. Like I've gotten a lot of comments like, I appreciate that you're real, that you're not like, the typical influencer or whatever. I hate that word. And stuff like that. So I try to just be genuinely me, and I think that connects with people.
Yeah, very cool. And the one Instagram post I saw that I was like I was laughing about is when I think you were doing the open or something like that, where the clock was running and the person behind you that was filming you was like yelling at you about the clock not starting. So how did that happen? Can you just tell the backstory about that?
Yeah, so I mean, it became a joke. Like on one of my other teams, like something always goes wrong with online qualifiers, like whether my camera dies or it stops or like the clock doesn't work or something. So that particular instance, I had 2 cameras and like 3 clocks, right? And my cameras both had like wad proof, so like they had clock, because I'm like, I'm not doing this again. So if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I had my friend Marissa on one clock and phone, and my friend Tomas on the other one. And then I was going to do the main one, right? So I could see what I was doing. And I gave them this big spiel about like, all right, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, then we all do it, right? And I made sure that they knew it, like 3, 2, go. And like I said it like 4 times. So they were ready, and I turned and I just hit the clock, and they're like, wait, you didn't give us the spiel that you just lectured us on 4 times. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Yep. Let's try it again. Yeah.
Yeah. I got to kick.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I got to kick it. I thought it was pretty funny too. So I was like, I was like looking through like at my lunch break, and I'm sitting there like, oh, that's pretty good. I mean, I could definitely see that happening to like other people too.
Like, oh, stop everything. Wait. Gotta do it again. Oh, shit. There's just so much to remember with all that stuff, and it's just like, oh my God, I just want to get it done.
Yeah. And you stay pretty consistent with your posts too. Do you post every day, or like what are the time frames that you do?
Yeah, I typically post every day, because I'm usually, I work out enough days a week where I usually have something. And I typically try to do it in the morning. I don't know if that's like the best time, probably not. But like I said, I don't pay attention to a lot of that stuff. But I just try to get it out of the way, so I'm not, because when I come home from coaching in the gym and stuff, I like to focus. I work from home a lot, so I like to focus on my business when I come home and not really worry about that other stuff. So yeah, I usually post every morning, either like when I wake up while I'm eating breakfast, or like before I start working out.
Okay. And like, obviously you don't do like the same lifts, because obviously all my Instagram posts are mainly snatches and clean and jerks, because like I don't want to bother anybody else. I'm like, hey, can you film this? And like I
know.
And it's like I'll just leave everybody alone, or like whatever. So I'll just do this. And my wife's like, you're posting the same shit every single day. Like you just stop it. And I'm like, I know, but like I just don't want to bother people or like do something and like, get people on the image or whatnot. Cause I train at a global gym that has bumper plates. And so like all my lifting is there. So
Yeah.
it's like, what should I do? So what would you tell like a kind of newbie with like the fitness space, like what to do for their Instagram?
So, I mean, personally, I try not to let it like run my day, but sometimes I just get distracted. But I have like this fancy, like this giant tripod that I just got. I was like stepping up my tripod game because I broke my other one. And honestly, I just tend to record things, and half the stuff is like boring and crap, and I won't use it. But sometimes I'll end up like doing something stupid, like dropping a bar behind me on the blocks, and then it falls all over the place. So I'm like, I could post that. That's funny. Okay.
Yep.
Um, yeah, dumb stuff just tends to happen to me, I think, so it works out really well. But I'll usually look at my workouts, like what I'm doing. I'm like, all right, is anything like worth posting, like that I haven't posted in a while, or something that might be fun to watch? So I'll generally just kind of keep it in the back of my head, but I just kind of wing it. Honestly, I'll just try to record what I can. If I can't, I can't, and then maybe I'll post something like an old picture or something. But I generally try to just record whatever and then see what sticks.
Yeah. And are you just doing straight reels right now? Or are you just doing like pictures, or are you doing like the whole everything?
Mostly reels, because I used to just do videos. I don't do a lot of pictures because like I don't have a lot of good pictures. My face is usually doing something terrible, and I
Yep. Same
just
here. Same here.
it's so
Yep.
bad. It's real bad. It's yeah. Um, so I and it's not, to me, it's not as personal. I can't get like my story out there as much. I don't do the whole like irrelevant caption pictures, like a lot of people do. But yeah, I used to just post like the videos, like with the normal videos, but now that's not cool anymore because you have to post reels.
Yep.
But I was told about that bonus, the reels bonus thing. No? Okay. So it's a thing. Not everybody has it, I guess, but it's called bonuses, and you get paid for posting reel. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like,
Okay.
okay, I'll try it. And like the first 3 days, I made like $100, and I'm like, what? Like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was like, I'm gonna make like $1,000 a month just from doing stuff that I'm gonna do anyway. And then all of a sudden, it like dropped off to like $1 a day, and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds more right. Like, I guess they're still trying to figure out the bugs or something, because I'm like, I knew that was too easy. That was way too good to be true. Um, but I mean, reels now are like they're pushing reels. Everybody's talking about reels, and honestly, I think it's a little bit more entertaining. Entertaining because I don't have to post like. I feel like people's attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's
Absolutely. Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, I can't even post a video of like my actual whole workout now because people, like, if it's more than 3 reps, they don't want to watch it. So I'll try to like cut and paste things, and like I'm not too like tech savvy. Like some people would do like crazy like transitions and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I only have so much patience of that kind of stuff. So I have a couple different apps that I'll use, but sometimes I get crazy, but most of the time I'm just like, I don't want to put that much effort into it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And you also have a YouTube channel too.
Kind of, yeah. I don't do a whole lot with it, but it's mainly for my business. Yeah, because people, I suck at cooking. I'm a nutrition coach, but I'm not a chef, and I always mess things up. Like, I try really, really hard, but something always goes wrong, and I make a video out of it, and people are just like, you have to cook more food because it's hilarious. And I'm like, it just takes so long to like edit it and put it together, and oh my god, it's a lot of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Yeah. Try anything podcasts. Like
Yeah,
that's
I don't know how you do it.
I like to, well, the way I do it sometimes I like to edit stuff on the fly, just like whatever, if there's a mix up or if there's like a pause, like obviously I'll cut the pause out, but just getting the exact point of like where that pause is.
Oh
And like
god, you have to
it's
like
like
make notes. Yeah.
yeah, it's like okay, and then like I even with like doing the YouTube, putting like the video on the YouTube, it's just like okay, I need to figure out like where it is. I'll pause it, and then like the area where it pauses just like goes away, and I'm sitting there like, okay, all right, I have to do it over again. It's just like yeah,
Yeah.
I love it, but there's sometimes it's painful. So
That's a great way. Yeah. Yep. And I just recently only started doing it on my computer. Like, I'll do it all on my phone.
oof.
Holy crap, man. I know. I'm just like super anti. Yes. I know. I'm an idiot. I get it. I know. But now it's way easier that I use my computer. I don't know, man. I was just stuck in the Stone Age. I always said I didn't need an Instagram either. My friend's like, you got to do it. You can get free stuff. And I'm like, all right, fine. So,
I have to admit you do get free stuff. My wife has about the same amount of followers that you do. So, but
yeah, it's kind
she's yeah, she's in the fitness space, and like I'm so glad we've gone on trips. We haven't paid for anything except for like gas, and like it's
of,
yeah, it's pretty cool. So, but
yeah.
we're getting close to the end, but I do want to ask you, you have a tattoo on your leg,
Mhm.
and I was trying to figure out like what is that? What does that say, and what does that mean?
So you know the band Hanson
Yes.
that sang "Mbop." Yep, that's where I'm going with this. So it's not that song, although the guy I used to coach with at my old gym literally told people I was getting Bob like spiraled around my leg, and they believed him. But no, it is the same band because I still love them and they still make music and they're my favorite. And they came out with a song called "I Was Born," and I knew I wanted this type of tattoo, but I just didn't know what to put on it. And then I heard the song and I was like, that's what I'll use, and that was it. So I mean, it just like it kind of resonated with me a little bit, and yeah, I thought it was a cool lyric to put on there. Fun
Okay.
fact though, I only wanted like the first part of the I'll just tell you the lyric. The lyric is, "My heart is a weapon and my mind's electric. I'll shock the world when you least expect it. Everybody's betting on the big guy, but don't underestimate the sting of the butterfly." So it kind of related to fitness, like I'm always like underestimated, stuff like that. And I'm gonna like, and I just wanted the second half of it. And the guy went to go put it on my leg. He's like, "Your leg's too big. We need more words." And I was like, "Okay, let's move the whole thing. Like, it's not gonna go around your legs. Your leg. We need more words." It's like, okay, use the whole phrase.
Awesome. That is awesome. Um, Very cool. So obviously, so here are my final couple of questions I got for you. So do you have any goals for the rest of the year? It could be like personal, business, or like whatever you got. Like what are you thinking you want to hit by the end of the year?
So it's kind of funny you asked that because they feel like they've been kind of up and down based on like, because I'm 36, right? I want to have like a family at some point. So I have to start thinking about that of like where I'm going to insert that into like my fitness life.
Mhm.
So eventually that's going to happen. So, but I want to get back. So last year I went to Legends Masters Championship. You know what that is in California. So I really
Yep.
want to get back there again. And I placed, I think seventh last year. So I would like to do even better. I mean, obviously podium is always on everybody's minds, right? So
Mhm.
it was such a cool experience. And I really like the way it was ran. And I want to qualify for that again. And do that again. So that's obviously one of my goals for this year. Now that grid is starting up again, that's in the forefront, and
Yep.
we want to take the North back again because we were the North champs for so long, and we lost that. So I want to take that back as well, and then obviously go to the championship and win that too. That'd be nice. So
Mhm.
those are probably my two biggest things, and then just continuing to grow with my business. Like I don't have like a metric for it, but I can tell each year like how many clients I have and how many referrals I get and stuff like that. So I just want to continue to enjoy it and have it not feel like a job and just keep having, as much fun with it as I'm having.
Yeah, and find the new supplement you can put in your belly button and put a tape over it.
Yeah, right. And put a little stick in there and like, yeah, man, then $1 million. And then I don't gotta work anymore.
What is your favorite book you like to reread?
This is gonna sound super demonic. Okay, I'm gonna tell you my favorite book that I ever read. Okay, and it was in high school. It was The Clockwork Orange. You
Okay.
know what? Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that is a
yeah.
very weird, creepy book. Okay, very, very weird. But the reason I picked it was because it had the word orange in the title, and that's been like my favorite color since I was in like ninth grade.
Mhm.
But the reason I liked it so much was because it had like a different language in it, and I would always make notes on the side of the book, like vidi meant to see, and like I would constantly be going back and forth. And it was just like a cool challenge for me to like remember what the language he was using in the book, and I always felt good when I didn't have to refer back to my notes
Okay.
and like so I don't like reread that book over and over again, but like that always sticks in my head as like one of my favorite books because it's a really weird book. Forewarning, if you've never read it, it's real weird. But it was such a cool thing, like a puzzle for me to do as I was reading. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I always get people to say like, they have like, self-improvement books or like,
Yeah.
some like crazy fiction book, but like I've never heard of Clockwork Orange. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a first for the show.
And people are like, really? I'm like, I know it's a really weird book. I didn't know it at the time. I picked it because of the name of the book.
Very cool. So what is in your gym bag?
Oh God. It's like exploded right now because I have a locker. So all of the insides are on the outsides, but I have two pairs of shoes. So I have my shoes, my lifters, which I never use, my belt, my wad and duns, my other grips, um, bands that I broke. I had crossover symmetry in there, but I think I put it back in my house. I have knee sleeves. I have I have like random like wipies that I think I got like for free. I just stick them in there, and I'm like, these aren't probably good anymore, but I keep them for whatever reason. There's some deodorant in there. I have a watch that I broke is in there, and I'm pretty sure I have headphones in there and a jump rope. Yeah.
All right, that works. That works. All right, now I'm going a little deep on this question. So let's just say this is your last day on Earth, and you know you got a bunch of people around you. How do you want people to know you as?
Cool. Um, I want them to know me as someone who like, oh, they always felt like comfortable and accepted around, and someone who like they could be comfortable and be themselves, and that I would always make them feel happy and like have a solid dad joke in my back pocket. But like, just somebody they can be enjoy, have fun around and you know enjoy my presence.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a big dad joke guy too. I have two kids, so I instantly right when I became a dad, I was like, okay, dad jokes are in. So
Okay. Do you want to hear my favorite one?
yes, please do.
Okay. Okay. Why was the hot pepper so annoying?
Why?
Because he was jalapeno face. Feel free to
Uh,
use it.
yeah,
use
I when I was working at the children's hospital too, before when I was like talking to kids, I would say like most randomest dad jokes, and like they wouldn't get it, but like the parents would start laughing. I'm like, okay, at least I got the parents, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So where can people reach out to you if they have any questions about Grid League? You know, your nutrition company, pretty much Great Kids, like pretty much anything.
Probably Instagram. I have Facebook too, but I don't really use it that much. But you can find me on Instagram. My personal one is it's the gym _ not a runway, or at my business one, it's OPB Nutrition. And then same thing for grid stuff. You can message me on my personal one as well.
Okay. Well, Jess, thank you very much for coming on my show. I really do appreciate, learning about you and, such a cool individual. And so I'm glad I got the chance to talk to you. And we've gone over an hour, so it's crazy.
Yeah, right. It went by fast. I was like, holy crap, it's 9:30. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like getting close to like 3/4 of the questions. I'm like, holy cow, I got like 15 minutes left. So, well, thank you very much for doing this, and I do appreciate it, and I would love to have you back on, especially like hopefully get Hannah on as being the co-host and kind of talk about the Grid League in the season.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be fun.
All right, awesome. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too. Bye.